The views and opinions of the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I represent Bahamian people. I from Nassau, Bahamas, big up Bintan, bro. Boy, I from Bintan, bro. Right between West and Augusta, where them two roads meet, they call it Wilkinson Street. Manners and respect was like
Good evening, Bahamas, and welcome to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. I am your host, Valentino Brown, a.k.a. Scoochie or Scrooge or Scroogey. I am the host of the talk show Inside the Inner City that comes on Guardian Radio every Friday, except holidays, on this wonderful station. Telephone numbers are 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, and you can text us, powered by BTC, at 422-GR96. I want to apologize for the late appearance. Got caught up in traffic, and then we got caught up downstairs. It's our fault, so we'd like to apologize. I want to say a special thanks to our producer who's sitting in, April, who has been doing a fantastic job here on Guardian Radio 96.9. I have a special guest in studios again. This is Dr. Cecil Nuri. We had a discussion last week and a few months prior to last week on a specific topic. And before we left the show last week, I told Dr. Nuri that many topics that we discuss on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, when we do read the newspaper, many persons tell me, say, some of the topics we usually talk about on Friday for the last couple of years, that when we have a discussion, we would normally see it in the weeks to come. And if you see the newspaper, we talked about a few topics last week, like pension and et cetera, and how it's affecting us. And now you're seeing in the newspaper where we have the Davis administration rehiring the retired. You know, they get salary plus pension. Now, this is not a knock on the government. This is a policy that has been going on from administration to administration. And we'll talk more about it as the show goes on. But we just like the general public to know that this is what affects us as taxpayers and Bahamians, you know. So I want to let my guest introduce himself, who himself has taken the time out to make himself available to be on the show tonight.
Hey, Scrooge. It's always good to be on your show, and thanks again for the invitation. And I always humble myself when I hear you call me doctor. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I can get used to such title. I'm sure my mom would be proud to hear you reference me as a doctor, so I appreciate that.
Yes. You know? There's many different doctors, you know. You as a doctor who studies what goes on in the country, and you put it together, and then you're able to manifest it on Facebook or your platform, similar to what I do. So we are doctors in our own professions, my brother. Yes. We don't need a title to go to school, you know, because these things cannot be taught. These are learned from experience and your knowledge that you've gained over the years and years and years, and different experience and different journeys, and, you know, et cetera. And it builds up in you, and that's why you're able to be who you are when it comes to your platform, and that's why you're able to resonate and reach people the same way as I am able to reach people from all walks of life, because I'm surprised to actually know that people from all walks of life listens to the show, because they say the way we put the program together, it's 50-50. We try to be as reasonable as possible on the show. So it's a show also for the people. So I'm quite amazed, and I want to say thanks to everyone who takes the time out to listen to Guardian Radio, and those who take the time out to listen to me and my guests who are similar to me in my endeavors to make the country a better place and to give some education on some stuff that many of us need to be educated on. Okay, Mr. Nuri. All right, Craig. Mr. Nuri, last week we had a discussion, and we were talking about the pension plan and how, you know, it affects us as citizens, you know. Not directly, but indirectly, it lines from the top straight to the bottom. And we were talking about, for instance, like former governor generals, former commissioner of police, and et cetera, who get their pension when they retire, or former prime minister like the Honorable Perry Gladstone Christie or Honorable Hubert Alexander Ingram, who are both former prime ministers of the country who served 2 consecutive terms. I mean, they served like 8, 9 years as the prime minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, which puts them in a pension plan to receive pension for the rest of their life, totaling over $100,000 per year, if I'm exact. And we were just talking about how some retirees and et cetera would be retired, and still be called back and begin 2 paychecks, which is hurting us as the taxpayers, because we want the general public to know that as taxpayers, we need to understand how the system works in the country. The system works like this. We are the taxpayers. When we pay our license for our car, our electricity bill, our water bill, or even matters before the court, all this money is gathered up and used to pay the civil servants who do their tenure, either 35, 40 years or 50 years in government or et cetera, who are civil servants. So the prime minister of the country, where he is the former prime minister, Hubert Alexander Minnis, or the current prime minister, the Honorable Brave Davis, who just won the general election as the new prime minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. All of them has a huge responsibility, what they never tell you. And their responsibility is to pay the civil servants who have done their pension plan. But the problem is that when we double dip in paying the civil servants who retire, it becomes a problem and burden to us. So we just want to talk a little about that, and I want Mr. Nuri to go ahead, Mr. Nuri, because you're very knowledgeable.
Well, thanks again. We know that our pension, the government pension, is non-contributory, right? Means that the workers do not contribute to their pension, right? After working a certain amount of years, they are able to get a return for their hard work, right? We know that government has had angst about it and mentioned it before, that perhaps in the future we need to revisit it and have persons who've worked in in government contribute to their pension in general, that it won't be such a burden on the taxpayers and the government in general to pay for when they come upon retirement. We also know that upon retirement you get a gratuity, and that gratuity is followed by a monthly stipend for the rest of your life, and that's also coupled with a national insurance, which is also which is actually contributory, where you pay a certain amount of money and then you get back for the rest of your life for that, right? And now we have civil servants who work their time. They contribute to the benefit of the Bahamas, the development of the Bahamas, and they retire. They receive their gratuity, and they receive their monthly payment, and then they receive their national insurance, right? And whatever else they have on the side.
And we have no problem with this.
And we don't have no problem with this.
Not with this.
This is the system it is. And we see that the government is stressed or taxed with money. So we know that moving forward, we will have to at least consider how to change the pension, so that if you are a government employee, that you give toward that pension and that you receive back from what you have done.
While you're employed, you give,
yes,
you
whilst
give.
you're employed.
Yeah, so to make up when you retire.
Yes.
Yes.
And then we also know that on several occasions, I'm not sure how often it is, but it may be more often than we think, that there's an overdraft where government will have to, where government's basically short in paying its employees, right? Either have to borrow money to pay them, or the bank itself will give the money in advance and then repay the whatever fees occurred.
Can I interject for just a second?
Go ahead.
Okay. And when you say employee, are you just talking about the PLP employee who now are on the government of the Bahamas, or you're talking about the F&M employees, then the persons who are not a part of the political party who are employees who are working in that system. So I'm just trying to give a point.
Yeah, I'm talking about the public service.
You're talking about
the civil
everyone,
servants.
everyone
Everybody,
combined with the
you know,
PLP, the F&M,
and we know that all the money is coming out of the treasury, and depending on how much money we make per month, per year, that's how all of the civil service is paid. And there are times we just don't make enough money to cover the demand. We know that the civil service is bloated. We have a large number of persons employed, where we could have more productivity, but perhaps with less people. It is what it is, and you know that every political party tend to bring in several individuals because of political favors. So they're in the system and not necessarily benefiting the system.
Now we have a problem with that.
We definitely have a problem with that.
Now we have a problem with that.
And we know that we may in the future, and some number of persons called for it during the COVID pandemic and the stress and demand in the economy, that perhaps we should have right-sized. We saw that the F&M government did a package plan.
That's under Hubert Ingram?
Oh, well, Hubert Ingram did it too.
Yeah, he did, yes.
And Hubert Minnis also did it, some kind of package plan. We know that BTC at one point in time did separation package for a number of persons, right? And unfortunately, they had to hire some of them back, so they get their package and they got to hire back.
So it was qualified for the job.
Rather than qualify, they should have done a survey to see how much people they need to keep.
Yes.
Instead of pay them off, find a bigger.
They're trying to downsize, but it backfired.
Didn't work
Knowing
well.
that,
Didn't work well.
you're getting rid of the most qualified person for the job,
Yes.
and that's true. You trying to downsize, you made a crucial mistake.
And then you see that I think the last administration did packages for those contract workers or something to that fact, to that point. But the point of all of this conversation is that the stress we have on the treasury is becoming overwhelming, and especially during this time when we are not making the type of money we used to make. And that we know that certain things are overdraft and that we would have to either borrow to pay. And that's what the problem is. When we have to borrow money to pay a monthly bill of employees, something's wrong with that. And we need to fix that in a shorter term instead of a long-term project.
And I just want to educate. Use your brains. This is the Prime Minister's responsibility to pay everybody. Am I correct?
Yeah, man.
So this is also a part of the budget. Am I correct?
Yes, it's budget.
So why is it that a sitting prime minister would never explain that to the general public that he has to pay?
And that's not necessarily so. No, every year the government gives out a budget.
Yes, but
if you follow the budget, you know exactly that the majority of the budget, the national budget, goes on payroll.
Payroll. Yeah, that's behaving people. Listen closely.
Goes on payroll.
Okay.
And because our
I like this. I like waiting. I
because we
like
have a lot of
this.
employees.
I like this.
And see, this is where the government needs to grow the society instead of being the mean employer, right? That if the society expands, the economy expands.
More small business, more companies,
small business, more private
industrial
businesses,
companies,
right?
factories, and
yes,
etc.
That those persons wouldn't have to depend on the government to find employment.
Wow.
And it's just that because the economy is bad, because we have little growth, we find that government in their need to pacify the number of their supporters and the number of Bahamians, that they are forced or feel propelled that they need to hire more people to make sure that persons are not on breadlines or receiving social services, right? And so this is where this administration would have to now grow the economy. So when they do decide, if and when they do decide to lay off or give people packages, right, that those persons can be absorbed by the economy, society, and this is where the catch-22 is. You want to downsize, but at this present time, the economy cannot absorb these people. So if you let go, give out packages for these people, right? What happens when they can't find any jobs? So we haven't reached the pension yet. We just haven't.
Yeah.
What do we do to these people? And you see that at this present time, there are a number of persons who, especially in beaches and parks, are asking when will the government start hiring them back now to clean the roadsides,
Yes.
right? They said, well, we need our money. These are persons who
And dire need.
in dire need,
Yeah,
and the
dire
street
need.
sweepers or whatever it is, who said that we depend on our paycheck, we depend on government, and this is where we would have to address it, hopefully in the short and medium term instead of the long term, because it's impacting the whole economy by we having a large expenditure where we could have do away with if our economy was growing.
Wow. So you say most of the budget goes to payroll.
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to take this one call, and then we're going to go back to where I want to read something about the newspaper where we say we are rehiring the retirees. They get salary plus pension, and what the Davis administration has to say about the retired civil servants who are re-engaged by the government and simultaneously receive their salary and their pension. And we just want to understand that, Ms. Nuri, after we take this call. Go ahead, caller. You're on Inside the Inner City.
Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, teacher. I know that voice.
Sure. Good evening. It's sort of distressing. It's a very serious topic. I heard a quote today that principals don't put food on your table. But I'm speaking to productivity, where you may go by some departments and see several persons, maybe just clocking and present. And we also have a concern, generally, I'm not speaking about any particular government, of hiring and rehiring, I guess, with the skills of those persons. At the same time, when you may have unemployment, and also as your co-host or the guest, speaking of the tightness of funds, there have been plans afoot many years ago, maybe more than 10 years ago, 10, 20 years ago, to restructure the public service, but it's a political matter that if you were to hit it too hard or you think you may lose votes and lose in the next election. But in any case, people still losing elections, so what has to be done has to be done. I even heard of a proposal recently of a special study that was done to say send people home and pay them because they're not productive, but send them home and pay them so that you can get more productivity from those who remain.
Okay.
And even that, I thought about it. I said, there's not full employment, and there are people, as I mentioned again, unemployed, underemployed, and here it is, as it were, double dipping, people getting more pay and so on. So this matter that you're dealing with is a very serious matter. Last but not least, I'm not hitting anything specific per se, but let's go back to government changing persons or paying them off, right? I see sometimes as a general citizen that it put us in a bigger hole. You pay them off because you want to put into other people, as we mentioned, when you pay and then you rehire and all of that, and then you select who you rehire.
Yes, sir.
So I think in all of those factors, helping to burden the country down and put the country in more debt. Privately, we cannot get debt indefinitely. If we broke, we can't survive. And even though the government is never broke, in quotation mark, people say, the debt burden will be on our grandchildren and our grandchildren's children. So continue the discussion without hurting anybody, mashing anybody's toe, because as I started off, principal don't put food on your table. Mercy, mercy, mercy. Have a good evening, gentlemen.
Yes. Teacher just talked just now about productivity. So keep that thought in mind. I just want to read this little statement of the newspaper. Because like I said, we have these topics. And then I'm amazed to see that the topics we have on the show on Friday, we normally see the newspaper. So that means we must be doing a tremendous job with the kind of guests I have on the show and the kind of topics that I come up with. And that is the blessing of God, because I asked the Father to meditate from the weeks prior to give me the knowledge to come on the show Friday, to have a knowledgeable show that could reach the ears of the Bahamian people, because, I do a lot of community shows. But sometimes it's good to talk about things that are affecting the community, but are in politics and are in government, that are the main reason why we're having the problems down below. So if we don't find the problem at the top, be able to explain it. And like teacher said, we don't want to hurt no one's feeling, because we are not. That's why we said, we have no problem with no one doing a 35, 40, 50 years in government and then getting their pension. But then there's some people who double dipping and triple dipping, and that's the problem for us. So there's no problem for a person to retire and the government gives them their pension. There's no problem with that. As long as not is politically motivated and this person receives this position and he harms and destroys the department, because sometimes when we hire political appointees and we get rid of someone who knows how to do the job, but my government is in, he needs that director's position, even though he's not qualified for the job, but he needs that. We need to get rid of the current director or the current commissioner or the current assistant director, and we need to put the person in place. And when this person get this position, and that's what the teacher's talking about, the productivity, because many persons could be getting a pension, but they just go to work, punch their card, sit stand, polish their nails, and want to receive pension for the rest of their days. And he says, like how their suggestion is send them home and pay them. Well, that's a tricky one. So we have to be careful with all of that. But I'm glad that we are bringing it to the airwaves, because it's a delicate topic, but it needs to be discussed. Go ahead, Ms. Nuri.
Yeah, I know you're just going to get ready to read your newspaper.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I'll let you read it. In fact, you get glasses. I'm nearsighted. I soon have to get my glasses, doctor. I soon have to get my glasses because I'm getting nearsighted, and I can read, but sometimes I can't see the line. So we have here a new day, but with old faces. Cabinet decision to hire retirees defended amid double dipping claims. And this is the problem we're talking about, but we just want to explain it. So I'm going to let Mr. Nuri read it.
So, the Office of the Prime Minister has defended Cabinet's decision to allow re-engaged retirees to receive a salary and their pension, saying the process would be selective, merit-based, and infrequent. 2 retired civil servants have already been re-engaged by the Office of the Prime Minister, said in a statement. The Tribune understands they are David Davis and Harcourt Brown, who will work in the Office of the Prime Minister. The statement came after the Tribune reported that the Cabinet, according to a leaked memo, has changed the official policy of the Minister administration that prevented returning retirees from receiving a salary and a pension.
So, like you say, we're not knocking nobody who has done their time. Now, what that means for us? It means an expense. But see, and the Minister of Public of the Public Service spoke on it and said that they have made a decision in regards to the policy. They believe that if you were home retired and enjoying your benefits, you should not be punished if your skills are needed on behalf of the country. Okay.
Right? The question I think that has given a number of persons angst, right, or uneasiness, is whether there are any other qualified persons within the Office of the Prime Minister who can do their job. And they wanted the Prime Minister or the leaders there to identify if they have special skills. What are these special skills that they are being brought back for? So the people can understand, say, okay, I see that they have this particular skill and no one else has that skill, that they can embrace it with ease and say, okay, I understand. They just do not understand why these 2 gentlemen being welcomed back into the Office of the Prime Minister when there are already persons there, already a permanent secretary there doing the job, inclusive of a minister, junior ministers, and a parliamentary secretary. And we said, just getting top heavy for this particular for this particular ministry or non-ministry actually, and people just want to understand what exactly is happening.
Oh, wow. Wow. And you know, one qualified person I know that who's qualified for the job in the office of the Prime Minister, I see the guy named Simon, the minister. He's a permanent secretary. He does the finance. Simon, I can't remember his name. They just brought him back also. And
Wilson.
Simon Wilson. I know him. I talked to him a few times under the former Prime Minister Perry Gladstone Christie. He's qualified. I don't send him just give him an account, so I can understand why he comes back. When he was in retire, he was under contract. I think he get let go under the Free National Movement administration. So it seems to be some type of political meddling or
And
political.
he is the financial secretary,
Yes.
and the person who they brought back actually permanent secretaries. But again, go ahead.
Okay, good point. Can we take this one call? Go ahead, caller. You're on Inside Inner City.
Hello.
Good night. Good night. You're on.
Good night, Scrooge, and good night, Mr. Nuri. How you doing, dog?
I'm always good, man. I'm always good.
Yeah, Papa. Go ahead,
Okay.
Papa.
All right. Scrooge,
Yay.
I want to say something to what you was reading from the papers just now, what Nuri was reading.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but first, I want to send condolence to everyone who losing loved ones.
Oh,
out
yes,
there.
yes. I forgot about that. Go ahead.
Scrooge, you know, when you had Bishop on talking, and Scrooge, you could remember, you could be a witness. You remember Scrooge was talking to them members, them new members of Parliament, in spite us being happy for the new day, he was saying all they need to do is just answer their phone and answer the people, right?
Yeah.
Don't see the phone ringing and don't answer the people. You remember the singing bishop said that when he was there with you?
Yes, he did say that.
Okay. Which, like I say, when you had the singing bishop in there, my cousin Leon Martin, who they call Lenny from West Street.
Yes, Lonnie, yeah, my boy Lonnie, man, he passed away. Yeah, they tell me Lonnie
Listen,
passed away.
When I was talking with you and the singing bishop,
Yeah.
yeah, my cousin was right there battling for his life
Yeah, they tell me.
in Princess Margaret. And Saturday morning,
Yeah, he passed away.
one doctor called me, telling me something positive. You know, I was happy, praising God and everything, and thanking her and telling her how much I appreciate the good work what they doing there. 15 minutes later, another doctor called me, telling me how they do everything they could do to save his life. You know, that was stunning for me right there. And that's my cousin, his mommy, his daddy, and my mother, his brothers and sisters, and me and him was kind of close. Not close, I mean, as close as we could be, you know? For cousins, almost like brothers. I older than him, and he was just like a son.
Yeah.
So when it really hit home, is when Dr. Ambrista told me, that's what she did. The first one was Dr. Adley. The second one was Dr. Ambrista. When she told me what we could do, like if we can let him go in the morgue or the funeral home and his clothes and stuff, then I started feeling like that was a blow.
It's the option
So
now.
I just want to send condolence to everyone who losing one. I lost an auntie and an uncle last year too. I saw everybody losing. I mean, somehow your family members, them going,
It's crazy.
far off cousin or whatsoever.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know, everybody feeling it. They say government Bannister gone.
Yeah.
You know, he used to do the black belt. I had time to work around him.
Yeah.
They say Ivan Johnson gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, condolence to all of the
Punch.
family. And Barry Farrington, I know Scrooge if you ever met him before.
Yeah, I think I met him before.
He's a good man, Scrooge.
Yeah.
He was very helpful and kind, especially to the disabled people.
Yeah, I think I met him. I met him before a few times.
Yeah. So I want to send condolence to all of them. Scrooge, something you was reading just now. I still thank God for the new day, right, Scrooge?
Yeah.
It's like they say it's only 29 days, less than 30 days. This phone giving me problems. Less than 30 days away before we could say 1 month gone since the PLP became the government, right?
Yes, sir.
And they say we should give them a chance and don't be complaining and stuff. And, you know, they got to do this and they got to do that. But Scrooge,
Hey.
some of us out here, we saying it's a new day. It ain't the same regular thing. One of the things we must understand out here as voters and stuff, and governments to say, opposition to say a lot of things they want to do, but when they get in there, they get to find out, well, it can't just happen just like that. But Scrooge,
Yes.
one of the things they need to do, like how what you was reading from the papers, how all of those old the pensioners who wasn't getting pay now, they would be able to get their pension and get pay.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things what the minister say who in charge of the public service and national insurance, I think that's Mr. Rhoda or something like that,
Yeah.
Nuri.
Miles
He was
Morodo.
saying something that in spite of the circumstances, like economy-wise or financial-wise what the country going through, this is something what they can do, raise the pension, and they can pay them people them who already getting pension. Well, I say just how they going to do that. One of the things the people who never voted PLP in their life and heard a lot of good things about Brave Davis, they decide to vote for the PLP because of the good things they hear and they hope that Brave Davis would do these things to them. But one of the important things they voted for the PLP for, I hear a lot of people say, is this free testing thing. Right now, Scrooge people have to make a decision if to take this $100 and buy some grocery, although $100 ain't a lot in the food store these days. The COVID test, the real set, the good set, I'm talking about, I guess, $100 the less or $100 and something dollars. I wish this government could really bite the bullet. And I understand private companies selling these COVID tests. I know sometime in life it's all about the greedy and not the greedy and not the needy. So some of them might not want to work with the government because whatsoever they charging us, they can't charge the government the same thing. The government gonna pay less to them. But if they really get compassion for the country and for people in general, then they will work along with the government. We don't have to wait 2 months for the government or wait till December to talk about free testing. People are just starving. You understand? People hurting. And then another thing about it, some of these Negroes who we just voting, they don't want to answer their phone. Some of them don't change their number.
Like you said,
I don't have the problem with it with my member of parliament, Jamal Strong. Sometimes if he don't answer the phone, he'll call back. But the thing about it is that they say this is a new day, and we expecting some kind of different thing. We don't want the same old regular. See, Brave Davis is special. The Prime Minister is special. When he says something, his word means something. But some of these members of parliament, their word don't mean nothing. Yeah. They done cutting off their phone and even answering people right now. They supposed to be out just still trying to assist the people with groceries, making sure lights on, water, free testing for COVID testing. People are just suffering, and people say, well, you can't complain already and give the people a chance. Give them what chance? This is a new day, brother.
Yes, sir.
They're supposed to be prepared. They're supposed to hit the ground running.
Yes.
And I pleased and impressed with a lot of things what the Prime Minister do so far with the 59 and all of that, and easing the restrictions on some of the emergency orders and stuff like that. We need important things done. Just how they go give them pensioners.
Yes.
They pension money. Let me give you an example. You see me, I blind. I'm a businessman, like what you call self-employed, a contractor. Get little jobs and different things from the government. And because I've been blind for about 30 years, but because I pay contribution for me and my worker, they stopped my national insurance check. But 2 years ago, the 160 or the 2 something what they give me for being blind. I wish I could see one day, right? But I mean, the nerves in my eyes damaged, so I might never be. But they take the money away from me from national insurance. But it's okay to give people, and some of the people might be rich. You understand? I say hire the people if they're on pension and we need them to contribute to the country, in spite of whatever how old they is.
Yes.
But what about people like the disabled people? Just because we get a little job, you take the little national insurance away from us. Two wrongs to make it right. But they say a new day. I believe in a new day. So let's stop letting it be about the greedy. Let's let it be about the needy, man. People are just hurting and suffering.
Yes.
Keep up the good work, Scrooge, and condolence to all the families who lose loved ones with this COVID foolishness, man.
Yes.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much, Papa. There were some very powerful words, and yes, our condolences to all of the loved ones who are passing away. There's just about every family is being touched in the country. Remember I said something a little earlier on the show a few years ago, and the morgue is full, and the dead are supposed to be respected, Mr. Nuri. And right now, the dead is not being respected in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, Some people can't even be identified or found in the morgue right now. So we really need to take a look at ourselves and put the priorities in the right place, And my condolences goes to the Conker Leah, lost his brother. Listen, so my condolences to him and his family also. And the caller who just called in a few minutes ago, Papa, he was talking some serious stuff, Mr. Nuri, and he said that most politicians now who were campaigning as opposition now have changed their number. I mean, honestly, it's supposed to happen. I said on the show on numerous occasions that Wying for government, being in the opposition is one thing. Going out there doing all the charity stuff here, cleaning up Portsky Dock, cleaning up lots and etc. Some of that was just a political show, just to get something going where the media kind of get their attention. Okay, some of them mean well, some of them intentions are well, but deep down inside, it was just for media to get the publicity to let me know who my name is. I'm the candidate running for Elizabeth Estate, Freeport, Baytown, and I'm cleaning up and I'm working with the residents as opposition. Now when they're government, it's a whole different picture. You see, I want people to understand that this is how governments run. Okay, the government runs like this. Okay, the government changed. Okay, the election just changed just now. Okay, did the police force, did it stop working? Did it stop for a minute? For a minute there, the commissioner of police was in charge of the country when the election was over, after all, when the election was going on, right? Did anything change? They still had a structure, a system in place around the election period. So when those candidates who were fighting for opposition won the general election, all they do is the Honorable Opposition Leader Brave Davis, now as the Prime Minister of the country, he walks into the office of the Prime Minister and he gets brief. He gets brief on what's going on, what the former Prime Minister agenda was, what contract is signed, who are all the biggest business people, and all this is confidential. Okay? It's a whole different ballgame being in opposition than when it's government. Okay, and you could say you want to do all these things when you're in opposition, but when you get in government, it's a whole different picture. Contract have been signed. If you try to breach them, it'll be caught out on you, and you could be fined, and that's how it go. Okay. So, and if you're a member of Parliament right now, and you're saying, Singing Bishop, great man, was on the show 3 weeks ago. And he said that, tell the politician, don't change your number. Do you think for 1 minute they're going to be like the Singing Bishop who deals with hundreds and hundreds of people with different problems, calling on their phone? You could do that when there's opposition, but now they're government. They can't help everyone. It's the problem now with y'all people. This is what y'all going to run into now and see how government work. How is it possible for a sitting MP to help everyone if they don't have a strategic plan? You tell me. You understand, Mr. Nuri? We're going to take this call, and then we're going to let Mr. Nuri comment, Mr. Nuri. Go ahead, caller. You're on Inside in the City.
Good afternoon, Stuart.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to your guest. See what you got it. Papa Jones was over the airways today, and I was listening to him on a couple of different shows, and he's making a very important point. And these points that he was making, just can't run over them. You guys got to expand them on them, because this is a very serious thing. My thing and what I gather from this is that we got to be very careful on the presidents that we're setting in these governments. The last 25 years, we changed government 5 times. I hope this government is looking like it's to me. But I hope it ain't true. I hope they catch it before it gets too late. This government is looking like, well, you ain't got to give me 5 years anyway. I can do what I got to do and get all my Toonies in place and get my friends, family, and lovers and get them up together. Because I'm sure I can get another 5 years.
That's how it looking.
The only 5, and it's looking like that's good. And the only people who can suffer from that is the poor, behemoth people,
Yes, the
because they're
taxpayers.
looking for the government to set some things in place.
Yes.
And these fellas making themselves rich. They making themselves so rich that they can sit down and they ain't got to hit a lick when they lose the election for 5 years. Because they say they can change the and we can get back together again. That's a bad president is being set in the country.
Yes.
And I hope that ain't good. And the thing about it is, this past administration, they lose the aspiration and the heart of the vehement people 1.5 years out,
Yes, you're right.
2 years, 2.5 years, we just waiting to get rid of them,
You're correct.
I'm telling you,
You're correct.
These people ain't understanding what the situation is. And the sad thing about it is that, like I say, these people is using the government voice. Like they see their own piggy bank or their ATM, bringing these folks back and paying 3 salaries for one position.
See?
And man, this ain't right, man. And these ain't no little local salaries. If you put these three salaries together,
$250,000.
when it comes to the prison, you got to actually pay 15 or 20 prison inmates, prison officers, these salaries.
Yes.
Out of the salary with one or two places making.
Mm.
And these ain't no little salary, and these pension is getting higher and higher, like you say.
Yes.
Because we got two prime ministers getting pension. We got the third prime minister wife getting governor general pension and
Yes.
pension from her former. These things they adding up.
Yes.
They adding up to all kind of money,
And
and
they-
this money ain't trickling down to the
Yes.
people who really need it, man.
Yes, that's exactly what happened in our country, my
I'm
brother.
sad, man.
Yes, that's exactly what happened in our
It's sad,
country.
Prince.
And
This is a sad situation.
yes, and this is the problem now we're talking about right now. You know, this
I hear
money.
you talking about the situation, and you're correct on this.
Yes.
It's a very timely topic. I hope the powers will be understanding and listening to these conversations that's going through the airways and try to arrest the problem right at hand now before they slide down that same dismal
Slippery
state
slope.
that the former administration
Slippery
did,
slope,
man.
the slippery slope.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
It's serious.
Thank you very much. You made some great points. And I'm glad that the callers and listeners are listening and analyzing and see if we're talking any truth. And this for all of us who don't understand how these things affect us. You could be PLP, you could be FNM all you want, right? But at the end of the day, if you're not in that circle, if you're a regular citizen, now remember, most government workers who are employed by government, they get health benefits. They get special initiatives. Some of them could go to the 400 plus and get furniture. Some could go down the car lot and get car lot. Me and you cannot do that. We are taxpayers. We are different. That's why I say we are different. You know, we are different. We are the ones we get milk. We get milk to pay for all of the government employees. We employ, I think the Bahamas government employs about 87% of the workforce in the country, or 70%. But it's rounded, right, Mr. Nuri? You know it's 80% of the country's workforce. So, and if they're collecting taxes, VAT, and et cetera, at the same time, we, the citizens, are not getting treated with the utmost respect on the service we're receiving from National Insurance, from the Princess Margaret Hospital, from the Bahamas Correctional, from the University of the Bahamas. We're not getting our due diligence for being the tax bearers, because we are dealing with a system that, when I'm in power, I put my people in place. And the reason for this is why they hire people is because in a party, you don't want no break person, because when it's time for general election, Caesar Nuri is going to donate $60,000 to $70,000 because he was employed somewhere in the administration, national insurance or the immigration or some government department you're in, but you're a part of the party. So your job is to keep the party strengthened. So all us donate. Some could donate $20,000, some donate $800,000, you know, just to give back to the party, to keep the party structures in place. And that's why some of these, what you're seeing now, that's what it is. Because we have to keep the party structure in place. We don't want to break people in the party. You know, we need people with money. That's why some people get recommended as candidates. Either their father or mother was a part of the party and just donate handsomely to the party. And then their children come in place and they push their children, and their children is the one who runs to the next general election candidate. And they keep donating. Like, for instance, Sir Frankie Wilson, he donates to the Progressive Liberal Party as a senior member of the party. And then we have, et cetera, like Mr. Brent Simonet, who donates to the Free National Movement. Some of these guys donate to both of the parties, like Adrian Fox. He said, I donate to both of the parties. And we saw where he mentioned the fact before our current prime minister, he mentioned the fact why he was the opposition leader to speak on Adrian Fox's matter to the U.S. government. Because Adrian Fox is a special interest for both political parties, because he donates. He might donate $150,000 a year, or $200,000 to the Free National Movement, or $150,000 to the BLP, or $200,000 apiece, or more. We don't know. Night God did it. You You understand, my brother? So go ahead, Mr. Nuri. Your time.
Yeah, and I want to continue the point with.
Go ahead. Sorry, I'm very sorry about that.
No, I continue the point with Papa, right? And his point was access, I think, and that the narrative of this new administration is there is a disconnect. There's a disconnect, and I'm not sure if they're appreciating the cry of working class people. And working class people trying to understand why is there a need to bring people back when unemployment is so high, when there are qualified persons in the system. And I don't think that our government has taken the liberty to explain the necessity of it. And it's causing frustration. Papa mentioned that he is blind. He was getting a stipend from National Insurance. And because he decides that $160 per month is not enough for him to survive, he decided to open up a business, right? That he can make some extra money to take care of himself and his family, right? I'm not sure how much money that is. But as soon as he started making some money, that his national insurance was discontinued.
But he's disabled.
And he's disabled, right? So he didn't stop being blind.
He's a businessman.
Yeah, but he didn't stop being blind,
Yes.
right? And he's likened that to the same thing of the permanent secretaries who have their pension, right? They got extra employment by being hired back, but yet how come they can get their pension and their salary and he can't do the same?
So they double dipping it.
So
Or
they
the
double
cookie
dip
jar.
him, but he can't double dip, right? And he has
And
small funds.
And he's disabled.
Yeah, and he's disabled,
Yes.
disenfranchised,
Yes.
challenged.
Yes.
But he's saying that clearly the government seemingly is looking out for a special group of people and not necessarily him. And this is the narrative that I don't think the government is appreciating, that there are a number of working class people who are supporters of the PLP, who believe in the New Day slogan, who believe that this is the chance for them to have opportunity and get access to whatever the government has. And they already seeing and comparing them to the last administration, who seemingly that special interest people receive more attention. Yes. And we now seeing again that it seems like their affairs are being put in the back burner. And you see that their old members are being brought back. Then you're seeing that
old
person too.
members?
Yeah. And
You don't want no break members in the
Yeah.
party because we need to be strong.
But it's the narrative of it.
Yes, I know.
And
I'm just explaining the general public.
I'm thinking that the prime minister at a particular time would need to set back with his ministers and say, hey, I understand we're doing this because we need all hands on deck. And he explained why he needs these people. But there needs to be greater access to information that people can appreciate what he's saying. And he needs to consider how it looks and the frustration that working class people are having, that they're having some tough times. And they cannot appreciate the flippant response that we need them. We need these people to get the 2 paychecks when I'm struggling with my one, right? And it causes angst, it causes frustration. And I think that he needs to listen when it comes to making such decisions, because I'm assuming that in the future 1 or 2 more persons will be hired back in order to assist with the emergency we're going through.
Because we could read through the lines. I didn't read through the lines. And like I said, I didn't analyze this. I say, who are these people? What are these people? And then you would see their affiliation. Now, like I say,
And you see the affiliation.
You see the
It becomes
affiliation.
political and
Yes.
not necessarily special skills.
Right.
And so see now you start getting frustrated, say, man, this ain't right. And start questioning your government who you support to say, man, I wonder if they actually understand and support what I'm going through.
here's the thing, what I get to understand. I get to understand politics because I study it. I was around Sir Lyndon Pinlin, greatest Prime Minister, Honorable Sir Lyndon Pinlin. I end up around Perry Gladstone Christie, and I end up around some other ministers like Dr. Bernard Nordich, the late great Dr. Bernard Nordich. Here's the thing. Now, in order for you to remain a strong leader, here's the thing you need. And if you think you're going to be challenged, you need to be strong. You need delegates. Now you see what is coming in, brother? Or started council members. See, you remember when the Progressive Liberal Party or the Free National Movement had a convention and they were fighting for leadership. But just recently, when the late great Dr. B.K. Nordich challenged the Honorable Perry Gladstone Christie, who was the leader of the PLP at that particular time for leadership of the party. Now, you notice there was talks in there that Dr. Nordich were gaining traction in the party. Come convention time, he might have toppled the Honorable Perry Gladstone Christie. But Mr. Christie ran on a spree of traveling to the family islands and all around Nassau, and he was meeting delegates and et cetera. And do you know what delegates are? They are special interest people who are part of the party who decides who's going to remain the leader of the party. In instance, for example, the Honorable Hubert Alexander Minnis. He's opposition leader now, and now he's fighting for leadership. I mean, he's saying he will demote leadership, but there's a fight inside the party for leadership of the Free National Movement. Am I correct? Mm-hmm. And now you're seeing where names pull up like Michael Pintard, and what the next one name, Shannon or Cartwright. They don't stand a chance in hell unless Minnis step down, because Minnis has all those delegates and party starters council at its disposal. If you watch the convention when Mr. Christie won, it was a landslide. Mr. Christie had like about 800 delegates and started council at its disposal when Dr. Nordich only had about 67 or 100. So as long as the party structure remains strong and the leader has the delegates and etc., there's the one who's going to vote when there's a convention. So this current prime minister, he is surrounding himself with experts. Then some are handpicked. Some he don't have no choice in the matter because this is a party structure. These things go on behind the door. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing like when police is getting briefing. The officer who in charge will have the police officer sitting on where there's no cameras. And if the streets are violent and there are killers, murders, few murders, armed robberies, he's going to tell his officers, shoot first and ask questions because you got to come home. There's some violent criminals out there. But he never said on national TV. So these things going behind closed doors. So most of these people who you see getting this position, they are started council or their family members are started council, and he's building himself strong as a leader because he has to empower those around him. And as simple as that. And anyone would do that. It might seem wrong. It might seem wrong, but he is learning leadership. Like I tell you, when he became the prime minister of the country, he get brief from the permanent secretary from the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Social Service. He gets brief from all of those guys because he don't know nothing what goes on in those ministries. And the prime minister actually the minister of all those departments and all those ministries. So the minute he becomes prime minister, he gets brief. And then he gets the permanent secretary in his department, in the office of the prime minister, he would tell him where you're going to travel, what you should say. This is your schedule, and etc. So you could be the prime minister. I could be the prime minister because the civil servants like the permanent secretary run government, they stay in power, which means prime ministers come and go in 5 years. Permanent secretary stay continuously. And they know more about government than the prime minister or any ministers because they have served under both administration and they serve the queen. Okay, phone lines like them. So we're going to take 1 or 2 more calls and then we're going to let you finish off the show. Go ahead, caller.
Good.
Hey.
Hey, these Fridays coming back quick, boy.
Because God is most here. God coming. That's why.
Yeah. The whole year gone dead fast. But 2 things, Tim, what I like for you and Mr. Nuri to touch on, because, like, you know, you got to wait on Friday for you to get on there. Say something. If maybe you might have read where the new press, I don't know what you call him, but
press secretary
in the Prime Minister's office, I think something was leaked to the media. Some of them were saying like they feel like he was trying to shield the politicians and all that stuff, and they ain't down with it. Maybe Mr. Nuri might have an opinion. He might have done give it on the airwave, and I might have missed it.
Brother.
And the second thing, maybe Stuart, you could tell us what you think with Christopher Columbus with the guy getting it.
Okay, great question.
Yeah, dealing with that. But I want to say this before I go. You know, one of the things the politicians don't like about people like me, and I'm the only one who know this, and they express it to them. You know, it's a few of us. You know, they don't like the idea when we keep reminding them, and it's the truth, people. They only servants to us. They only servants. That's what they really, really is. They are not the boss. You know, and when for some reason when they become and they get their chauffeur and they driver and everything and
They
the
change?
bodyguard, and maybe even they gun,
They change
they
it.
license issue gun. They disconnect from us. So they don't like when we tell them, you know, that they's the servant, we's the boss. And the next thing is that if I could say anything to them to try talk some sense to them, if you don't do, it's sad to say, and it might sound ungrateful and being a little disrespectful, but with the most respect, if you all have any political sense and you want to do something for us, do it in the first 2 years. Don't wait for the last 3 years. Save that for your friends, families, and lovers. Like, for right now, what you all don't like is, like, how the Bahamian people trying to get whatsoever is, yes, I on the phone, I come in. Whatsoever, either, not just promised, but what is needed. What was promised, you know, simple as the free testing. Some people don't have a job. Some people sleeping in their car. Some people sleeping out on the streets or whatsoever.
It's rough out here.
So they
It's
get
rough.
a little upset when we push for our issues. For right now, this first 2 years, man, push the people first,
Yes.
man, and leave your friends and families and lovers for the last part of it, because we know that's what some of you all doing right now. That's why you all bold enough to don't even answer your phone when you see the poor people calling. And you know what they're telling me, Scrooge?
Hey.
They say, you eating right, Papa, why don't shut up?
What you mean
They
you
don't-
eating?
they-
You
they-
deserve it. You're a blind man, bro.
Listen. The bottom line is, I ain't born that way, Scrooge. They
I know.
feel like if you getting help, or if you
I know what happened to
if
you.
you could put food on your table, your light on and all that, you shouldn't be making it. But I speaking out for all the people. Listen to me. This are things. Just how you could have the strength. You see how strong Adrian Gibson was in the last couple of days when we find out how he's taking care of they dealing with whatsoever they had to deal with.
Yeah.
Be asking you all to do this for us. This are things. Take care of us now. Make sure the people lights on.
Okay.
They get water. They inside their place. Find
Yeah.
the money. Borrow the money. Just how you find the money and borrow the money to do everything.
Yes.
It's only servants. That's all y'all is. Just servants to us with the most respect.
Thank
we
you.
are the bosses collectively together. So, new real idea.
Yeah,
what you
we-
all say, but what Clint Watson say,
Yeah.
or what Screw was saying, but Columbus.
Okay.
I'll hang up and listen. Y'all
Okay,
keep up the good
okay.
work and have a nice weekend. And everybody try to be safe with their brother. That's socializing and thing. Yeah, everything you got to do it. Little person you
modest.
can't share to. You need your own personal.
Yes.
You
Thank
feel me?
Thank you. We have one more call. Caller, you have over 2 minutes, so please make it real quick. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, bless this Squishy.
Yes,
I
caller.
said, you know, you see that youth there. I love that youth, you know.
Yes.
You don't even know me, but I know the story. You know, most the guys who mix up with that, you know, most of them then dead, the rest suffering. So, you know, like I wouldn't even say, but you see that youth there, respect that youth there, you know. 'Cause guess why?
Hey.
That youth there paints a very, very human story, you know.
Yeah.
And he's full of knowledge, you know. And guess what? Every time I listen to them, you see your school's getting so big up, I get their inspiration, you know. But blessed see anyway. I mean, real talk, you know. Because I mean, you know, wise and street smart, right, schools?
Yeah.
I listening to you, right? And I so like I see the changes, right? You know, like Squishy, you remember Sleepy, right?
Yeah, I remember Sleepy.
Yeah, well, that's my boy and Donatan them. See, if I listen to me, Squishy. We live so long, Squishy. You think we used to live this? We know we used to live this long.
No.
All right then. So I even see. I don't. People just come on the radio and talk, right? But anyhow, let me paint what it is. And I like the topic what you want. You see, the Babylon system is designed to fail. You know. True, I'm overread, right? You know why I say that? Not because I'm overread, you know, because when I listen to the people them talk, I know I don't outread them, you know, because a lot of people really, they educated in their mind, funnel down the rabbit hole, and they just can't never find themselves. They lean on their own misunderstanding. I don't lean on my own misunderstanding. I meditate, you know. Squishy.
Yeah.
Everything I was telling these people on the radio, you only see come through Squishy.
Yes.
So why they hating on me, man?
They ain't on themselves.
That's what they say. Like when they call, say, you know, one refused to read the text, but he started to read it and he wants to leave 52 alone, right? But I want the people to know, the haters or whoever, right? Because I don't have time to hate. 52 have studied the art of not giving, and you fill in the blanks, right?
Yeah.
Now, what's going on with this Babylon system, with the double dipping? I feel it for the blind one, right? Maybe someone should start a GoFundMe for the brother. And that's what I feel, because he blind, you see? So I know what we all about, and I would help. And I don't have nothing, but I know I have more, all right? So what I'm saying is, and I moving around together, right, Squishy? I see a little root planter on his bike.
Mm-hmm.
He riding into the main road. I say, hey, brother, man, you don't do that. You go away from the corner. You planting into the corner. Suppose someone have a problem and they running and they on their car. You see what they saying?
That's
So
right.
I know the job what we have to do in the inner city. But what I'm saying is, what Papa is talking about, that's the blind one, right?
Yeah, that's the blind one.
Is oligarchical collectivism. And that's what you're seeing.
And so the system is designed to fail because you see how they manipulate the system. And so this is nothing new. This is like from back in the days when they had kings and queens, when they give out bread and wine to pacify the masses. They all have Machiavellian and cynical doctrines, and they look down on the masses. You see they saying, brother?
Yes.
And so even as I speak, all right, I know of orthodox who have brought forth theories that influence the world, and they never been to college. And I drop out of college. I have my reasons for not joining. They wanted me to get vaccinated again.
Marcus Garvey never went to college, and look
Yeah,
what he
but
was
I
able
saying
to
is they wanted me
accomplish.
to get vaccinated again. That's why I didn't return after I dropped out. I wanted to return.
Okay.
But they create this paradigm for me. So now, me and you have a job to do, Scusi. So people have a problem with being educated. As I sit and I listen to you and talk about the sequence of the parliaments and how it run and all that, I sit now and listen, you know. And so my problem is I like learning. So they hating on me for that. But what I'm saying is, even if people call, I don't know if you listen to the Haja Black show today, right?
Hey.
Yeah, you heard me had a conversation with the scientists, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these are the type of people I like to talk with.
Yeah.
So I can't worry about what the people saying when I know what they're saying, brother.
Yeah.
That's all they saying. And so, see, Nuri, yeah, I like to, I thank the Hashi for allowing me to speak, but what you don't even know is, my brain's so full, right? What I would have enlightened between me and that scientist, I got to get his real spelling of his name, so I could join him on Facebook and enlighten him. Let me show you something.
Yeah.
That brother is a truth seeker and a truth teller, I'm telling you now, everything with how a nigga like me could know about Marcel syndrome. You think y'all don't get it? I don't outread these people, man. I run say, hey, listen to me, school. I won't challenge any one of these jokers. These men is talking about lockdowns. These people ain't reading to you the real data. All right, let's have a debate, right? What you call a deductive reasoning. You throw away all your phone, you throw away your book, and you come to me mine on mine, and then someone with a Google fact check in the background checking with me and them saying. And guess what I saying? I come with the truth, so I know I don't have nothing to hide from the people. These dynamics that these people talking about, hey, I lose a cousin, I lose a neighbor, hey, listen to me, Scusi. So much people had this, my daughter had this. You understand what I'm saying, Scusi?
Yeah, Eric,
so this
a lot of
reaching out,
people.
touching everybody. But what I'm saying is, Scusi, listen to your brethren, your cousin, These people, plenty of people, hey, and I love the nurses and doctors, but plenty of people dying because of lack of healthcare innovation and healthcare, lack of the people them overwhelmed. And the government ain't paying these people, these people, these business getting top class pay. The government business trying to match something. Boy, they get me talking like Papa now, so emotional. Listen
Yeah,
to me.
speak
Hey,
up,
listen to me.
cuz
The government
you
need to
get
match
back.
these people's salary, Hey, the people don't care, but I them, brethren.
Yeah.
The people lost. They lost. They have no... You see, we fight down one another because we're ignorant. 52 came on the radio trying to enlighten the masses from stop being A, right? But they mad at me for that. They say he think he knows. I listen to all of the ridicule, So what happened to me right now is, Scusi, I desensitized to the ridicule. So when I come on and call someone a sheep, I'm a sheep, but I'm a very red sheep.
Yeah.
You can't be misled and spoon-fed garbage, pseudoscience. See, let me show you something. These people know they lying to me and you. They keep, hey, guess what? I love Nahaj, I say she's lost. But listen to me. They keep moving the goalposts. And a lot of people don't know why they keep moving the goalposts. Scusi, you think, if I say something 2 years ago and a year and a half ago, you think I don't know the science, Scusi?
Well, guys, let me put
I
it
said
like
it'd be a
this.
viral merry-go-round. Now you can need a booster shot here and booster shot there.
Listen.
Hear it?
Let me just say this. You need to calm down, because listen, who can say that the COVID-19 isn't man-made?
Yeah, but evidence they don't know this.
But
That's why they can't only use
who
doctors
cannot
out
say?
here.
Listen why I'm saying that. Listen why I'm saying that. Show me disease that is not man-made and was genetically engineered in the lab.
Yeah, but biologically enhanced.
Show me-
Yeah, but I had a
name one.
conversation with a doctor in the elevator one
But
time. My
anyway,
mother was in doctor's hospital, right?
we really will get back to the conversation, so make it real
Yeah,
quick.
listen,
because
I had
we
a
get-
conversation with a doctor in the elevator in the doctor's hospital, and I was so angry because my mom is dying from colon cancer. And I said about 80% of the disease, Mama. He said no, 90. All right, so and I know the biological weapons program. But what I'm saying is, do you remember that the job is to inculcate the masses with foolishness.
Yes.
So they don't want to know about the biological weapons program and the 7 viruses that they had that
Yeah.
they enhanced to 42. So Dietrich's. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of secrets that they hold. NS,
Yes.
National Security Study Memorandum 200. So when people say conspiracy theories, all they're showing is they underread and they're misled. And they see, we too trusting as Negroes.
Yeah, cuz.
Bless it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. He's very passionate. And I'm going to say this. What people fail is don't understand, right? If it ain't man-made, it's man's fault. Okay? Simple. Because if you're going to inject all of those antibiotics into animals, right? And then we are going to put them for human consumption, there's going to be side effects. All right? Simple, plain and simple. All right? Because animals has their own natural antibiotics. You know what the antibiotics are? The grass that they eat. Same way as humans. Okay? There's certain specific grass, certain fruits that are good for you. A good prime example, if a dog is sick and he has a cough, he's not going to walk to the hospital. He's going to walk or go to the veterinarian. He's going to walk in the road, cross the road where there's a bush or empty lot, and he's going to look for a specific bush. And then he's going to eat this bush. And within the 5 to 10 minutes, you're going to see him warming up the bush. And then the dog was moving slow at first, but immediately when he eats this specific bush, the bush does something to him, and he does like that, warms, and he moves about freely. Okay? So AIDS, genetically engineered. Cancer, genetically engineered. You don't believe me? Listen to the story about Bob Marley and see how a assassin, a CIA assassin, put a needle inside Bob Marley's cornrows and how he was able to get second stage cancer. So biological weapons are out there. People are using them. Whether we believe it or not, but it's out there. Go ahead, Mr. Neary.
Yeah, I just going back on the topic, I just believe that this administration needs to appreciate that a number of Bahamians are concerned.
Yes.
A number of people, Bahamians are challenged in this economy. And when they see the government making decisions and bringing back people without giving a proper explanation of why, what special skills, what's the benefits to us, how does it trickle down, of course you will expect angst. And to dismiss their concern flippantly is not good for their survivability moving forward, right? Because we've seen that for the past 20 years, we're going back and forth. And I think that these are small chipping points where they're chipping at their legacy and where they need to get in check quickly before it becomes overwhelming and starts snowballing, where the people conclude, man, you just as bad as the other folks. You are just worrying about a certain set of people and not worrying about me. And mind you, I understand what they're trying to do. They want to solve a number of things immediately, but they need to understand that some of the narratives are not being properly translated to working class people, especially working class people who are barely surviving, who needs just who's surviving off small money, right? And they see that there are people who getting big money,
Who are not government workers.
yes,
who are not getting
who get access to the public
Not
purse
right.
and got rich, because I thought it would be impossible to get rich off the public purse. But there are persons who have become rich off the public purse, and it's causing frustration amongst us.
and we asking where the money going.
And where the money
This
goes.
is where the money live out the treasury. Okay? You also mentioned the fact, you said you don't want to talk about the fact about buildings that
Yes.
are
That we
rented to the
rented.
government, but not occupied. But we are paying thousands and thousands of dollars a month for buildings that are rented, but we never use. Where does money go? Where does this money go?
And see,
go ahead,
and
Mr. Rico,
to
explain
announce
this.
that, yes, somebody being rented a building.
Government for government.
Government being rented
So
a
it's a
building
government
and
contract.
has been occupied, and that you did not say who was a building rented from. Right? So you have a duty to care for us because we need to understand what went wrong. So you cannot make an announcement that that the former administration was renting a building and suggest something untoward and without giving us all of the details. You're supposed to come to me and say, Joe Public, they rented the building from Mr. Smith, whoever Mr. Smith is, and this is how much they're being paid, and this is how much money Mr. Smith made for during this time. So I could make a conscious decision moving forward, saying, okay, Mr. Smith benefited, and this is the person who signed the contract for it, so I know how I will deal with it further on. And we have some government buildings that be being rented for
And no one
decades.
and no one is even using them.
But not even necessarily using them. No. They go up in price and yearly, right? Some of the buildings look dilapidated or whatever it is because they're not taking care of it. And we cannot understand who owns this building, why they're getting $1 million plus for decades, right? We want to know who owns these things. You have a duty to care to explain to us that this particular family has been renting their building to the government for 50 plus years, going on to 2-3 generations, and that they're benefiting from the public treasury for this long. So moving forward, we able to make some key decisions, and I don't believe that they're
And that's
giving us
crazy.
these-
And that's crazy. You were trying to tell me government is renting a building. Now, I could understand the post office because, it's going to take a little while to get a new structure. And the post office is actually in the middle of the country where everyone can have access there. We saw the minister tour the mall where the post office are, and she said that it looked like they are not looking to cancel it because it looked appropriate. So, but they gave an estimate on what the cost was. So we know directly what the cost was, how much the taxpayers are going to pay to rent it, and et cetera. But like you said, there are many buildings out there that are being paid for by government, rent and lease. But the thing is, what bothers me the most is you talked about 50 years you're renting from one family. So that's millions and millions of dollars that the family has already gained. Why isn't the government going to build a building in order to stop renting? Because I rather own something than to rent, because if I look at the money I'm spending on it yearly and monthly would be equivalent to me building a structure. So why government have to rent buildings?
We don't even know who they rented it from. It's just a business name attached to it, but we don't know if they're political families or not, and how they.
It seems to be that way.
impacted.
It seems to be between the two political parties. It's something that has been going on very long. Both parties these are some things we can't control as citizens, and it's like this. There's no one in the country who can stop Sir Frankie Wilson from doing business in the country. No prime minister. There's no prime minister in the country can stop a guy like Tiger Phillipson or Mr. Brent Simonet. You know why? Because they are above government. They are mega businessmen who has business not only here in the Bahamas but around the world, and many other persons who are qualified. And when I mean qualified, persons who have the kind of knowledge and power that these persons have. Like I'm talking like Mr. Frankie Wilson, I'm talking like Mr. Brent Simonet and Mr. Tiger Phillipson. Okay, no prime minister can stop these guys. They're above government. So I just want you to know that they're the elites of the elites. So that means any government comes in power, they would work with any one of these guys. A prime example is when I think Commonwealth Bank was open. I think it's the Honorable Perry Christie who gave the license for it to be open, Commonwealth Bank. Okay? So I just wanted to let you know. Mr. Nuri, go ahead, Mr. Nuri.
Yeah, and I just wanted to bring that up, that there are a number of persons. It's not that we are jealous.
We can take this one call. Go ahead.
It's not that we are jealous that persons are able to be retired and come back. We just need to understand what is it that there's a need to bring them back for, right? And how long? Is this a contract? Is this a special project that they're there for a year project? And we say, okay, it starts and finishes. But it just seems that they're not properly explaining the narrative about what is happening, and that is causing frustration. And I don't think that they respect us enough but that when we complain or when we cry out, and they said when the dog get hit, whoever get hit will cry out.
Yes.
That we cry out and saying, hey, I don't think I'm uneasy with this. Can you explain better for me? That they flippantly dismiss our concerns and saying that it's political. That's why you're crying out. And
But
I
we
think
reading
that's
through the
what-
lines. We're going to take this last call. Call you off 2 minutes, please. We only could give you 2 minutes. I'm unable to cut you. So go ahead, please.
Yeah,
real quick.
you only could give me 2 minutes tonight when you get, because I've been holding on. But then on my cell phone, she ain't tell you that.
No, we wasn't really looking at the board. Go ahead, real quick.
Okay, well, anyway, 2 minutes. I can't explain what I want to say in 2 minutes. So what I do is I'll just hit you up next time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
right.
Okay. Sorry about that. I'm really sorry about that. Yes.
Yeah, and I just believe that we need to hold our government accountable, right? And they need to remember that they are servants for us and they act on our behalf. And that it's not that we complain for complaining sake.
Yes.
We complain because we do not understand what is happening. And if you need to bring back people, just explain to us why. This is their skill. This is the talent. This is what it was lacking at this present time. And I'm sure any reasonably minded Bahamian will understand and appreciate what's happening.
Yes, and you're quite right, because we can read through the lines, and you don't want us to be speculating. And I just want this administration to know there are thousands and thousands of people who've been hurting
For a long
for a
time.
long time, and there's frustration burning. And you know what all the frustration going to be taken out on? All right, we're going to start pointing the finger, and a lot of people are starting to point the finger as early as it seems, even though your administration is doing some wonderful stuff. But listen, like I said, the Royal Bahamas Police Force didn't stop when the general election was happening. We had an exchange of government. We had an exchange of leaders. We had a prime minister, a prime minister turning to former prime minister, and we had an opposition leader turning to a prime minister. And now we had a new deputy prime minister. Okay, so you know what that means? The country never stops. The country never stops. Government never stops. Yes, it's a new administration, but government never stops. And I just want to remind the general public again, the prime minister of this country, he don't need no skills. The skills would be required in the office of the prime ministers with the permanent secretary and his staff. There's the one who tell him how things run, and then he does some things of his own as he learns how to be the prime minister. I have to get all the briefing from all the permanent secretaries from all government departments by himself, not with no deputy prime minister, by himself, because he alone is the, what you call, the chief, yes, of the country. Mr. Nuri, want to say something real quick. I want to say to all the callers, I want to say thank you very much for calling in. And I just want the general public to know that the Inside the City show that talks about community development, the problems that we face in the country, solution. But we also are very informative about the invisible stuff that goes on in government, that happens in government, that happens in the country, that affect us, the taxpayers, the poor. And we on the show, we have the enlightenment, and we like to talk about it, expose it, and we like it to resonate in your minds and in your ears so that you see that we have to treat politics as a government, okay? It's continuous, and we have to say there's two parties vying for the top spot, and that is to be the government of the country, and that's the PLP and FNM. Then we have some, what you call those groups?
Fringe?
And fringe groups who trying to get to the level of the two major parties, okay? So we have to bear in mind that us as citizens are different from the civil servants. We are different from the police officers. We are different from the defense force officers. We are different from the immigration officers. We are different from the politicians. We are different from all those who are employed by government. They are civil servants, and all of them have health benefits. They get incentive for being a part of the government, and then if they do their due diligence, do their work professionally, and it's not what we call non-productive, like teacher said, and as being productive throughout their service of 35 to 45 years, they should be liable for their pension. But for those who are politically inclined, getting positions because they're politically affiliated, and double dipping and triple dipping, and causing us as taxpayers, and we wondering why the Treasury broke or where the VAT money went. This is where the VAT money went. So we want those to know that on this show, we're on to you. We're going to explain it to you and let you know that we understand. We want the general public to think differently so that you know how to arrange your mind to say, hey, this how things go in our country. Okay? Mr. Newby, before we go, we get 4 more minutes. I just want to say something to the general public. Keep a safe distance. Sanitize your house. Anyone you know who come down with any symptoms, try to separate yourself. Try to see if you can assist them any way possible. Try eat healthy as possible. If you have kids, try to build up their immune system. You yourself, look on Facebook, read some books, find out remedies that are good to build up the human immune system. The immune system is your stomach. This is the first step as a defense mechanism so that this itself protect you, to protect you from this dangerous COVID-19 disease that has been devastating the whole world. But we just need to be more careful. And like I said, social distance, keep your hose sanitized, have your wipes around, stay away from large groups. And if you do socialize, make sure that you socialize where we're sitting on the table. Me and Miss Nuri in studios, and he's 6 feet away from me. April, she is 12 feet away from me. So we are good. So we want to continue to get relaxed, wear a mask. I know some people are sometimes wearing the mask, especially me. I used to be short of breath. So what I do, if I'm going to walk from here to Bay Street, I take off the mask as long as no one is in walking distance or close to me. And as I'm walking, I'm looking right, I'm looking left. And as I see someone coming up who is approaching me, I take my mask barcode, I put it on my mouth. As soon as that person passes, I wait till they take about 6 steps and look back. And when the 6 steps pass, I take off my mask again. And then I walk. And then when I reach Bay Street, I keep on my mask because I'm going in the bank. So while I'm on the line, I have the mask on my face. Before I even open the bank door, I sanitize my hand, make sure that everything is perfect. So eat healthy, okay? Look at remedies that can build up the immune system so that you will not contract the COVID-19 because it attacks the immune system. And if the immune system is weak and people who have cancer, diabetes, and et cetera, and you catch this COVID-19, it's like the end for you. So those who are diabetic, watch how you're eating, protect yourself. Those who have cancer ailments, those who have AIDS ailments, take your medication, eat right, and protect yourself. You want to say anything?
Yeah, 630 odd Bahamians have died from COVID, right? That's too much. That's 630 souls who have family and friends, right? Everybody can say in the Bahamas that they personally know somebody who's died from COVID. We need to find better solutions now so we don't have as many deaths. We have several, about a score amount of persons now pending for the hospital to diagnose or declare what they die from, whether it's COVID related or whatever it is. And just that it's just too much. It's too many people. So we need to take this serious and try to find better mechanisms and better ways to protect ourselves that we live longer.
So that means we have to get the kids' immune system built up. We have to ask those who want to be vaccinated. Those who want to be vaccinated, we have to make sure your immune system is strong enough so that you don't get the COVID-19. And then we have a procedure for you who want to be vaccinated because I'm going to say this again. What's happening in America, where they're talking about the NBA players, making it mandatory and et cetera, making it mandatory in the U.S. Army and et cetera. What goes on in the U.S., that's their business. We don't have to do it over here. And you hear many people are speaking about in the U.S. and saying that this is against the Constitution. Listen to me. Here in the Bahamas, we don't have to be like the U.S. We could do something differently in the country where we could be free to roam around once we do the right procedure, do the right protocols, social distance, wear our masks, et cetera, et cetera. We have a 12 o'clock curfew. We know the procedures now. In our minds, we're programmed now. I think we do quite well. I think we just need to do more education, bring more healthy eating, giving more updates, where the outbreaks are, how to protect yourself, and et cetera. And et cetera. You want to say anything before we go?
No, I enjoyed the show, as usual. Thanks very much for the invite. We need to have more persons from the inner city to communicate and explain their frustration and their concerns so that the higher-ups, the politicians, can be knowledgeable of what they can do to help us, right? This particular topic about the double dipping or the concerns we have about it, especially persons.
It hurts us.
Yeah,
it hurts all of us.
It hurts.
Taxpayers.
Yeah, and we need a better explanation for it. And to dismiss it to say, well, this is what we do, isn't good enough.
It's not acceptable.
No, it's not acceptable.
Not even here, and it comes from the leader.
So I would encourage the government to explain these things better to us and to consider how it looks to us and our feelings in general, moving forward in terms of when you do hire people, say, well, this is how it's going to impact the wider audience or the wider public, especially people from the inner city.
I want to say thank you, Dr. Nuri, for the your wonderful time on air. You do such a wonderful job. I enjoy my time. Anytime I have an opportunity to talk about these subjects, I like to have you in here because you give your side of the story, we give our side of the story, and we make such a good conversation, and so many people listen, and they are educated, and they're able to respond. So I want to say to all the callers, you guys did a wonderful job. You keep up the good work. I want to say good night to my producer in studio, Miss April, who doing a wonderful job. I want to say thanks to the whole Guardian Radio staff, and I want to say thanks to the Guardian management staff for having me on to express myself. And they do not tell me what to say or who guests I should be on. They allow me to help myself. They want to find out what's going on inside the inner city, and we do this on the show. Last but least, I want to say this. Listen closely. Don't let no one ever tell you that something is mandatory. If anyone tries to force mandatory anything on you, do not accept it, because if you do, your freedom will be gone. So indirectly, you'll have a police state. If you notice what's happening in the U.S. now, they're going to have a civil war in the U.S. Okay, you see people who are normal citizens living a perfect life, no criminals. Now, since they are not accepting the mandatory vaccination, now they become a criminal. And I want to say thanks to the government who are putting and telling people who get a COVID-19 infraction that come to the board with Mr. Paul Farquharson that they spared, and they would expunge their record from the COVID-19. Because COVID-19 should never be a criminal record for no being in the country. When since a pandemic can be law, and now they take the law and put it against a citizen, a health issue, if you break certain violation, and then it goes on your record. That is wrong, and I want to thank the government for expunging those who were put before the court for any COVID-19 infractions. And I want to say to everyone, thank you, and have a wonderful night. And to my good friend, Dr. Nuri.
I like how you call it Dr. Eugene Nuri.
Dr. Eugene Nuri.
I'm in good company.
Yeah, so we'll see you next week on Inside the City on Guardian Radio 96.9. Drive safe, and good night.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I represent Bahamian people. I from Nassau, Bahamas, big up Bintan, bro. Boy, I from Bintan, bro. Right between West and Augusta, where them two roads meet, they call it Wilkinson Street. Manners and respect was like a sign blank.